It's not you, it's me.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Hans Struzyna. This is my wife Kristin with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International. And today we are talking about what you should do if you are working with an agent and you think you might need to make a switch.
So we see this scenario come up every now and then, and oftentimes we see it come up because buyers, when they start working with a buyer's agent, don't necessarily go through the formal process of interviewing several agents. They just kind of meet someone at an open house or get a referral from a friend and start down the path of working with a buyer's agent. And then when they begin to realize that maybe it's not a good alignment, it might feel like a little bit awkward or too late to change paths. So we're going to talk about how to do that gracefully today.
And make sure you stay all the way to the end of the video because we are going to give you the number one question that you should be asking any agent before you work with them or when you switch to them to help you understand what the experience is going to be like. So stay around to the end for that.
So the first thing you want to do when you're considering making a switch is to talk to the buyer's agent that you're currently working with. We are big proponents of making sure that you're being really clear with your communication, expressing that this isn't quite working, and then talking through what isn't working for you.
The whole key there is you've built some kind of relationship with that person, and it might be a lot easier to have a slightly awkward conversation and just say, hey, my needs aren't getting met in this kind of way, because at the end of the day, this is a business relationship, and we would like to make that change, or we would like to talk to you about that to make sure that we're on the same page. Now, there are obviously a number of ways that that could happen and go down. Feelings could get hurt, people could just not be able to meet your needs, so forth and so on, which is where we're going to go with the rest of the video. But sometimes they don't even realize that you need that, and their normal style is one way and yours is another, and they can actually start to come together. There are scenarios, of course, where you might have an unrealistic expectation of what that experience should look like because of something you read or someone else had an experience in another area, whatever the case is. But that clear communication oftentimes will solve a lot of those headaches in the first place without making a radical change. So make sure you do that first and foremost.
And that's obviously the best case scenario, is that you just have this one conversation, things change, you guys get on the same page a little bit better, and it's smooth sailing from there. So what if you have that conversation and you're just getting the feeling that this isn't a good alignment? Then what do? Well, here are the 3 steps to take if that's the case.
Number 1, you need to know if you have an exclusivity agreement called a buyer-broker agreement with that agent, which requires you and that person to contractually work together. They're due a commission if you buy a house. So if you have signed one of those, it's not impossible to get out of. It's actually fairly simple and straightforward, but you do need to make sure you get out of that before you switch relationships so that your new agent can get compensated for their time. Now, caveat here is if you do feel like your agent is due some sort of compensation and you want to make sure that they get paid something for their efforts for whatever reason, your new and old agent can work out some kind of a referral agreement between them on the back end. So just know that that is always an option if you feel obligated to work that in. It's totally possible.
And that's a nice way to smooth out this transition if you're deciding that you're going to make this one. So the second step to take is to sit down and really get clear for yourself on what it is that you need in a buyer's agent. What kind of communication are you looking for? Are you expecting them to send you houses, or are you on the hunt and wanting to send them all the homes that you're interested in? What level of expertise in this particular neighborhood or area that you're looking in do you want them to have? So begin by just making a list of what is important to you in a buyer's agent so that you have the clarity as you go out and search for new representation.
In addition to writing down what you really want, also make the list of what didn't work for you, what things were just irking you, you weren't getting your questions answered, you didn't have a good warm and fuzzy feeling about, and make sure you bring that up in those new conversations when you're doing your second interview process. When you get to this next step, make sure you bring those to those interview and get those questions answered before you go and commit to somebody else, because it may just be you have an unrealistic expectation of somebody. It may be that someone is just underserving you. It may be something in the middle, but make sure you just lay it on the table as you go into this next step.
So step 3 is to interview other agents. And we would recommend getting in touch with at least 2 agents, just so that you can compare, get a feel for what they're all about and what their expertise is. So you might find these other agents via an online search or a referral from a friend of yours who's bought or sold in the area, or maybe you met them at an open house. So begin by setting up a time with them where you can just hop on a call, spend 30 minutes, get a sense of what they're all about, what their transaction history is, and lay out what is on your list as far as what you are hoping for.
Yeah, and it's important to understand what kind of expertise you want as well. Some people are really focused in a small zip code or a small geography. Some people are a lot more broad. Some people only do buyers or only do sellers, and some people transition between the two, so to say. So understanding what kind of expertise you're looking for and ultimately what kind of communication and experience you want to have is how you're going to make this second agent the right fit for you.
And another really good thing to get a grasp on is how much business they're doing, because there are a lot of agents out there that are really part-time and others that are full-time and then some. So by asking the question, how many transactions have they done over the last 12 months, that'll give you a really good sense of how plugged in they are and how much business they're doing.
Which leads us to the question that you've all been waiting for. What is the best question you can ask your new agent to understand what the experience is going to be like, how they run their business, what you can expect as far as outcomes, etc. So here's the question.
How do you structure your time, and what does a typical week look like for you?
What you're listening for is, number one, do they have any structure whatsoever? Not everybody does, which may fit for you, may not. Do they have like a consistent communication time? Do they call all their clients on Monday and give them updates or follow up on open house activity? Do they always reserve certain times for showings and other times for their other meetings? Or are they a little bit all over the place, hair on fire? Do they have an assistant or do they have a partner? Do they have coverage if they leave town? You're gonna start to learn a lot of these things pretty quickly by asking them to describe how they structure their time and their week, and you can then get a sense of what that experience is gonna be like working with them.
So we hope this gives you a better roadmap if you're finding yourself in a position where you're working with someone and you might want to be making a switch. As always, it's a bit of a delicate situation, but by getting the best representation possible, you're really doing yourself a very big favor.
If you like this kind of content, if you got value out of this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, so we're going to continue to put out regular content just like this. You're not going to want to miss it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support on the channel. And until next time, we'll see you on the next one.